Hello, good evening po sa lahat. May I request everyone to please share your location here in our comment section. Sana hindi naman po masyadong umuulan sa area natin. Please share your location po para malaman po natin from where we are viewing our Gurong Pinoy Numerical Reasoning Review for tonight. Okay. Wala bang from north dito sa northern areas? Meron tayong Batangas. Okay. Bulacan. Okay. Sige, anyway, even if you do not have, even if some of you will not be able to access our review for tonight fully, kasi nga hindi masyado maganda yung weather natin, meron naman tayong recorded na videos, especially for those who are already part of our review group here in Civil Service Exam Review. So, and even in LET, because we practically have the same coverage naman for the general education. So for those who are not yet members of the review group, I suggest na message us directly in our Facebook page para po mag-message po kayo DM, hindi po sa comments. DM po tayo on how to join the group so that you will have access to all of our group sessions, advanced copy of presentations, particularly if we're going to do a 40-item quiz, and also yung full access natin sa ating videos ng review natin. Ayan, sige. So let's start in a bit. Ayan. Okay, so this night we are going to continue our numerical reasoning discussion, diagnostic test discussion. Last session, yung last session po natin was Sunday, this week Sunday. We covered items 80 up until 100, and that was the part one of our diagnostic test in numerical reasoning. And for tonight, we are going to focus on the remaining 20 items for the numerical reasoning. However, I will be inserting some items that are related to the ones that are already posted in our diagnostic test, right? Some of these items I will be discussing in depth. Some of these covered na natin yung concept nung nakaraang session natin. Okay, so Gen Ed, yes, this session po is applicable to both Gen Ed and CSE because the coverage of Gen Ed in LET and CSE in numerical reasoning is similar lang po siya. So kung Gen Ed po, pwede po. Yes. Gen Ed for LET and CSE review, pwede po ito. Same lang po yung coverage natin sa numerical reasoning. Kung major naman po sa math, iba naman po yung session yan. Pero Gen Ed covered po ito. Ayan, sige po. So let us continue with our discussion once again. I am Coach Faye and we are going to be dealing with numerical reasoning. Right. So we still have the same coverage practically, and this is the instruction written in your diagnostic test. So again, please be very careful in reading your instructions because what the instructions say have a lot to do with how you are to answer your items later when you face certain situations, which we will discuss actually in a bit. So our directions here is to choose the number of the correct answer. Usually they're giving 1 to 4 and then usually 5 if wala po siya sa choices. Sometimes, however, in the items, nagbibigay sila ng 5 choices. In that case, you really have to choose the best solution. Pero if there are 4 choices and wala po dun yung answer, please choose 5. Okay? Sige, let's continue. So let's continue the discussion with item number 101 in your diagnostic review. Or for those of you here who are reviewing Gen Ed for LET, same pa rin naman po yung coverage natin sa numerical reasoning. Please simplify the following. Can you please type your answer here in our comment section so that we would know kung ano po yung pace natin in answering and how far along you are in our coverage. I need to see po kasi how fast you are in solving, if how many of you are getting the correct answer, and if there are a lot of you who are getting it wrong. That way, I get to know when to stop, when to refresh perhaps the discussion or discuss it in a different manner for those of you who intend to become teachers or even become a manager, you need to be able to read the room. So mahirap po bumasa ng situation if online tayo. However, that would be aided greatly if we are able to post our comments. Ay, 1, 2, 3 po, 4 po yung options natin. It's numerical, not literal, not letters po. Ayan. So can we adjust our choices, please? Our answers, please simplify the following. Okay. So we are giving a few different answers here, such as I commonly see item number 1 and item number 4 in our comment section. Sige. So let's cover this in a bit. Sandali lang po. Medyo masyadong madaling po yung screen natin. Ayan. Sige. So let's simplify this one. So review lang po ng ating algebra. When you are discussing this, what you have to remember is whenever you encounter something like this, ay masyadong maliit. Sandali. When you're discussing something like this, you know that there's a parenthesis and there's a number outside. So what we do here is your distributive property, meaning you have to distribute your item outside, whatever you're multiplying outside, to the rest of the items inside the parenthesis. So distribute this here, and we end up getting 3x. I'll just write it down here. Sorry. That would be 3 times 2 is 6 plus 3x. So that's the first part there. I'll just put the parenthesis so it's easy for us to differentiate things later. And then we can also have, let's choose this one. And then for this one, what we apply here is still distributive property po. So what we will be getting here is distributing 4 to all of these. So you're just multiplying your outside item there into the numerical coefficient din po, yung number din po. So not really x. So what we do here is, I'll just retain this, plus 12x plus 8. And then finally, what we have here is, of course, for some of you na medyo nadadalian dito, please bear with us. Kasi even if madali yung concept, if nakakalimutan din naman natin paminsan-minsan. So we need to refresh pa rin what we know, right? Para naman po well covered natin siya. So what we do when we have something like this is, I'll discuss it in detail later. We have to multiply your exponents. So that's x to the 6th. And then simplifying, we already know that we are supposed to have an x to the 6th. So we know na cancel na to. Kasi may x to the 5 sila, right? So it's either 1 or 2. So, ayan. So, check to. Pareho to eh. So, I'll just look here. Dito na lang ako titingin. Particularly dito. Yun na lang yung titingnan ko. So, I'll focus on this and this. They're both positive. So, the answer has to be 1 for this one. When I answer a quiz or something na multiple choice, especially pag multiple choice, I don't always solve the items fully. Most of the time, I look at the choices and look at clues to find the choice faster, in the fastest manner possible. Kasi if you fully solve something, sometimes time-consuming siya. And as we know, yung exam po natin ay time-bound at may iba pa tayong topics na kailangan i-cover. So you really have to know how to manage your time well. So that's that. There's that. Now, a little bit of a discussion lang on some exponent laws kasi we saw there are some exponents there in that particular item. So review lang po natin. Whenever you encounter something that involves, tawag natin dito is, meron kang same base na A. So parehong A, and then you have different exponents. If you are to multiply them, what you're supposed to do daw is you have to add your exponents if you have the same base. So for example, what is our answer for 2 cubed times 2 to the 4th? So in this case, meron po tayong same base na 2, and then we're supposed to multiply them. They have different exponents. So in this case, for exponents, yung rule natin dito is you have to add your exponents lang. So you end up with 2 raised to 7. Okay. I'll enlarge it a bit. Ayan. Medyo malabo daw. Sige. Eto. Now, let's try the second item here. Quotient rule. The same concept lang din if you're dealing with something like this. Sandali. Move ko lang to a bit para Kita niyo siya. Ayan. Okay. So quotient rule is very similar to your product rule. Instead na dahil you are going to divide, so instead of adding your exponents, you have to subtract them. So if you have something like this, na 2 cubed divided by 2 to the fourth, you end up getting 2 raised to 3 minus 4, that's negative 1, which actually is yung 2 to the negative 1 po, whenever you have a negative exponent, it means that you have to transfer your item from a different position. Like kung galing siya sa taas sa numerator, lipat mo siya sa denominator. If galing siya sa denominator, lipat mo siya sa taas sa numerator. So in this case, dahil negative po yung exponent, then we have to rewrite it as 1 over 2 raised to 1 or just simply 1 half. Good evening po sa kaka-join lang. We are currently discussing yung discussions applicable for both Gen Ed, NALET, and Civil Service Examination Numerical Reasoning. Now, power of a power rule. What if you simply have to raise a certain item na may exponent siya, tapos erase mo siya in a certain power again. So for example, if you have 2 raised to 3, and then there's also a fourth outside. So ang rule po natin dito, wala na po kasi siyang base, yung 4. So if you're multiplying na may same base, di ba nag-a-add po tayo? Pag wala po siyang base, it's just an exponent, then you have to multiply it. So you end up getting 2 times, 2 raised to 12. Ito po yung nangyari doon sa specific item natin previously. Power of a product rule. So this is parang distributive property lang. If you have two things inside the parenthesis and you're supposed to raise that into a certain power, then you will have to write it this way. And then similar na rin po yan yung quotient rule. Something that you have to remember kasi parang medyo recurring siya in most of the items sa mga exams. Ito po, anything raised to 0 is going to be equal to 1. So if you have 1 raised to 0, or you have 100 raised to 0, or you have 24.3 raised to 0, all of that will be equal to 1. Anything raised to 0 is 1, even 0 raised to 0. And then, ito na yung sinabi ko kanina, if you have a negative exponent rule, lipat mo lang siya. So, ayan, binigay na natin yung 2 raised to negative 1, that is 1 half. If you have, say, x over y to the negative 2, yung y mo may negative exponent sa baba, lipat mo lang siya sa taas. So you would end up having xy squared. Yan lang naman siya. Okay, just a little bit of a review for those who may have forgotten some exponent rules and laws, and particularly mga algebra items. What we will do is, in the succeeding sessions, we will be having more discussions sa may mga algebra items. But for now, we will end this type of discussion here para may time tayo for the other coverage natin, right? So ito po. This one is an item in the diagnostic test. A tenant gets 4 sacks of palay for every 7 hacks harvested. Following this ratio, how many sacks of palay would the tenant get if 560 sacks were harvested? Please type your answers po here in our comment section so that we would know how far along we are getting in our discussion. Especially po sa mga kaka-join lang na wala pong access sa diagnostic test or are having a different set of items for your test, please try the following items here. Paki-type lang po na answer. Okay, si Mitch. Ayan si Mitch. May answer na si Mitch. Let's see others. Okay, so this involves ratio and proportion. So I think ratio, we covered a bit of the topic last session. Nag-discuss po tayo about how to deal with ratio, but mostly, pag ratio, we usually deal with direct proportion. So direct yung proportion natin. Pag sinabi nating direct yung ating proportion or yung variation natin, it means na pag you are increasing, if one is increasing, then the other is also increasing. So, okay, malabo daw yung dating ng slides kay dito sa YouTube viewers natin. So, pa-check lang po, are we experiencing the same? For our Facebook viewers po, if the screen or the power or the presentation is a little bit blurred, please let me know. So malaman po natin um, if it's the YouTube transition or ako talaga, right? Sige. So I think most of your answering here, oh, very, very interesting. Answers here are commonly 4 and 1. Ayan. Sige. So let's have this one. Ratio po tayo. So you get 4 sacks of palay for every 7 sacks harvested. What helps me when solving ratio and proportion is I always keep the units in mind kasi madali siyang malaman kung tama yung pinag-prepare up ko ng mga bagay-bagay. If wala ka kasing unit, it's easy for you to get confused. So what we have here is 4 sacks. Yung 4 sacks, it's being paired with, sandali, let's have this. Yung 4 sacks of palay for every 7 sacks harvested. So your 4 sacks of palay sandali, redo natin. Ito yung i-change ko. Yung 4 dito is harvested. I'll just write palay. Tapos yung 7 is harvested. So I'll just put some notation here para madali sa akin na makita. Okay? So we have this, and then we have next is your pa-ask po sa mga Facebook viewers natin if they're experiencing the same na malabo rin sa kanila kasi I'm receiving some malabo comments from the YouTube viewers. Pa-check po sa mga Facebook viewers natin if it's the same thing. Okay, so ayan po tayo. 4p over 7h, right? So that's your ratio. And then the other one here is you're trying to get your ratio here wherein you need to follow this ratio daw. 560 sacks were harvested. So harvested siya, right? Harvested siya. So yung 560 is harvested, nandito siya dapat sa may denominator. So what we're missing is your unknown numerator. Ayan, suggestion po sa mga YouTube viewers natin. Baka pwede po tayo mag-try transition sa Facebook if kaya natin. Facebook is yung sa Gurong Pinoy po natin na page if medyo malabo po siya doon sa mga YouTube viewers natin. Ayan. So, what do we do here? Usually, moving on sa my discussion natin, what we do is thank you po sa mga nag-clarify na malinaw. Thank you very much sa mga Facebook viewers natin. Ayan. So, to clarify po, yung ating tawag dito. You could change pala the video quality in YouTube. Meron po tayong 144 hanggang sa 740. So you could change the video quality sa settings ng YouTube, yung 3 dots po sa upper right corner. Ayan. So continuing on, if you're facing this type of problem, remember na one of the easiest ways to solve this is simply to pair things up. So you have here whatever crosses from one side of the equation to the other side. Kapag nag-cross ka ng equal sign, tinatawag namin yung bridge sometimes. If you cross the bridge, then you change signs. So when you cross the bridge here, what you do is you do division. So 560 divided by 560h divided by 7, and then what you get is division po tayo dito from here to here, and then from here to here, multiplication po tayo. I think someone here gave the same solution earlier. Yung exact solution po binigay niya. Sandali lang po. And so this gives us the correct answer here, which is 320, and it is indeed item number 4. So sa mga nakapag-answer po ng item number 1, paki-review lang po kung saan po tayo nag-differ ng solution. And you could take a screen cap of this slide para po maalala ninyo, and you could really take a look at which item you're having a little bit of a different situation. Okay, this is not the only ratio item here in this succeeding session, so we will have another one later, and hopefully that will help us clarify some things further. Kasi what I showed you is not the only solution to this one. This is just the easiest, the one that I find the easiest and applicable siya dito. In some cases, hindi po ito applicable. So I'll give you an alternative solution later. Okay? Eto. So this is one of my favorite type of items, yung may mga average. So in his subject, Lito got 89, 87, and 85. What grade should he get to have an average of 85? Ayan po. So can we check? What grade should he get to have an average of 85? So you do it your way muna, and then I'll show you my way later. So please let me know what your solution would be for item 103. Okay. Hmm. Remember, wala pong calculators during the exam, both for Gen Ed po, and then also for your, tawag dito, for your civil service na exam. So, sanayin po yung selves natin na walang calculators. Okay. Ayan. So, I find this item a little bit weird, no? Kasi mataas na yung scores niya. Why does he want a lower average? Ganyan. Pero these are the types of questions that we face para you know how to manipulate situations if you're faced with such. Ayan. Sige, so we are receiving some different answers. Okay, so most of you answered. The correct answer here po is 79 indeed. Um, First, the typical way of solving this is, di ba, when you have your average or mean, average also called mean, what you do is you add everything, right? What you do is 89 plus 87 plus 85, and then we need to get that fourth missing value, and then divide natin yan to how many values you have, which is 4, and then you should end up with 85. That, yun po siya, right? So we will have to discover a different method for this one kasi this one is very, very lengthy, lalo na pag wala kang calculator. So, since most of you got that answer correctly, can we try the following items here? Yung first item here, you're trying to get the average of this one. And then in the second item, you're trying to get the missing one for an average. Okay. Can you give your answers po muna dito sa may binigay nating dalawang items? So let's name this item A and item B. Pa-share po. Ayan, yes Sir Mark, that is indeed your the solution that we want to have. Because it's faster than the regular na average na solution. Brighten natin ng kaunti. Ayan, sige. Oh, that's very interesting. Yung solution ni Ma'am Ann, ni Anne Ray. Find the odd number sa choices kasi odd number ang total ng tatlo. Yeah, that's true. Kasi you're adding three odd numbers. So you expect odd number para walang decimal yung final average natin. Yeah, that's a very interesting answer. And that actually checks out. Yeah. Although well, yun nga lang, what if maraming odds sa choices, right? But yeah, that solution checks out. So in item letter A, yes, item A, meron po tayong 34 dyan. So what you can do is you add everything and then divide it by 5. But what I would do is, for me, medyo iba yung, medyo iba po yung ginagawa ko. Yung ginagawa ko po kasi when solving average is, I try to look for a certain number na possibly yun yung answer. Like for example, kung may choices, pipili po ako dun ng somewhere na medyo nasa gitna ng many things. So let's see, dito kasi, yung middle item dito, I'm seeing it as 32, right? So I want to take a look at 32, and then I want to compare 32 to all the other items na katabi niya. So next there is 45. This is my prospect na average. Syempre, di pa tayo sure, right? So my prospect na average, I'll compare it to the next one. So next one is 45. In order to get 45, I need to add 13. In order to get the next one, 41, I need to add 9. In order for 32 na maging 23 yung next dito, I need to subtract 9. And in order for 32 to become the last item 29, I need to subtract 3. Now, I will combine these. Combine ko po yan sila. So, cancel na to kasi plus 9 minus 9 nagiging 0. So, I will be left with plus 13 minus 3, that is plus 10. I will divide this by the total number of items. 34, 45, 41, 23, 29. That's 5 items. And that is plus 2. And so, my average now is, yung prospect average ko na 32 plus 2, it's 34. You can choose to follow this or do your own process, whichever makes you more comfortable. Nasa sa inyo na po yun. It's just that adding everything together and dividing by 5 sometimes might take a long time kung masyadong complicated yung numbers. So, okay lang if you're using your own method. Whichever works best for you, yun po yung gagamitin natin. Okay? Sige. Now, let's try po yung item B. Can you share your solutions in item B? By the way, after this po, meron po akong ibang mga examples for this one para po mas ma-appreciate natin siya. Item B. What's your answer for item B? Meron na pong answer dito si Romela. Yes. So, may answer na si Romela. Sir Carlo, parang wala naman. Like, pag decimal, medyo a little bit challenging lang siya pag decimal. Pero as far as I know, yun. Sir Edwin, nag-loading. Sige, that's what happens if you're changing the screen. So, sa mga YouTube viewers natin, again, please change your, tawag dito, yung video settings natin. So, from perhaps naka 144 po tayo, increase po natin to 720. And then, yun po, after doing that, maghihintay po kayo a bit kasi naglo-loading po yan pag nag-change siya. So, sa mga, those who are asking other questions in the YouTube group, please directly message na lang po tayo doon sa my Facebook group para yung mga nagmamanage po ng page ay makita agad yung mga comments niyo. Hello po sa Miss Mary Grace. Ayan. Paki-DM lang po sa may Facebook group natin. Ayan, marami na nagpo-post that in letter B, the answer is 27. So, what I would do here is, I always start with my average. So, ito po yung average natin this time. Ito po yung sinabi kanina ni Sir Mark, isa sa mga nag-comment dito. So, what do we need to do here is, yung scores mo individually, they need to reach your average, di ba? Yung goal natin is ma-hit talaga yung average. So, yung mag-a-adjust is yung mga individual numbers para ma-hit si average, right? So, what does 23 have to do in order to become your average 29? Kailangan mo pang mag-add ng 6. Sorry, naka-ibang setting siya. Ayan. Si 25 mo naman, para maging 29, you need to add 4. Si 32, para maging 29, sobra siya eh. So, mag-minus 3 tayo. Si 40, sobra din. So, mag-minus 11 tayo. And then, your 27 is, medyo kulang siya ng kaunti. So, we have to plus 2 here. We want to reach your average 29. So, ayan. You need to combine all of those po. If you add them all up, what do we get? So, actually, if you add all of these, you will end up getting negative 2. So that negative 2, adjust lang po natin yan dyan sa average natin, and you will get that the missing item here pala is 27. So I think this is very, very applicable shortcut sa karamihan sa inyo. So I want you to try this method, yung particularly sa letter B. Pero sa letter A, kung hindi po kayo sanay dyan, okay lang po. Use your own method lang. Let's try a few more items. For our YouTube viewers, please manually adjust the settings po ng video ninyo. Sa upper right corner, meron po tayong 3 dots ng settings dyan. You can change the quality of the video from 144 to 720 para po clear siya. Minsan kasi in YouTube, nag-o-automatic siya na binababa niya yung settings kaya lumalabo siya. So, please manually adjust. Nasa inyong settings po yan. Kasi clear naman tayo dito sa Facebook eh. Ayan po. But anyway, if you're part of the review group, you will have access naman sa video nito. So, can we have your answer here? And dito sa may question natin to. So, si Diwata, no, this is not exactly for math major. Then, Gen Ed pa to. Gen Ed pa to. Medyo mas, a little bit extra yung coverage natin for math major. Eto. So, you could do your traditional method here, which is simply adding everything up and then dividing it by 2, 4, 5 items. Ayan. So, personally, I would just show yung method lang na pinakita ko kanina. But if you want to use your own method here, nasa sa inyo na po yun. Kung saan po kayo mas mabilis, kasi the goal natin is to become the fastest, as fast as possible para po maka-answer pa tayo ng ibang items, right? So, perhaps I can choose, say, choose ko na lang yung nasa gitna para walang ano. Ayan. So, kunwari, I want to choose ito yung 87, kunwari. So, 87, what does, ito na lang, para maiba. Dito na lang tayo sa 86. What if I want to choose 86? Kasi siya yung nauna. So, what I want to do is, siya yung hindi pa ako sure kung average ba siya o hindi. Hindi tayo sure sa kanya eh. So, siya yung mag-a-adjust kasi uncertain pa siya. So, for your average, kung siya nga talaga yung average, you have to hit this one. Yung 84, you have to minus 2 para ma-hit siya. 86 to 87 is plus 1, 86 to 90 is plus 4, and 86 to 91 is plus 5. Put them all together, and you get, this is 8. Divide mo sa total number of items. Together na kukuhaan natin na average, that's 5. And this is 1.6. Positive 1.6. So what do I do now? My prospective average and then this 1.6 will be combined to get the actual average, which is 87.6. Ayan. May nakita ko dito na round off. Please do not round off po unless na sinasabihan po kayong i-round off. Okay? So, do not round off unless wala po talaga siya sa choices. Ganyan. So, ayan, 87.6. Eto. Let's try another item here. Jules got scores of 82, 87, and 80 in 3 quizzes. So, Carlo, yes, 86 lang piliin niya. Pwede bang, pag pinili mo, for example, yung 87, yung mangyayari is, yung final answer mo doon is 0.6. Ibig sabihin, magdadagdag ka na lang ng 0.6 doon. Your final answer is still 87.6. So, it doesn't matter kung ano yung pinili. 'Di ba? So, hindi nagmamatter kung ano yung una mong pinili. Sa huli, doon ka pa rin sa tama. Yun. Okay? So, in mathematics po kasi, wala po tayong preference na there's only one method that works. There are actually very many different methods that can work in a certain situation. Depende po yun sa inyo kung ano po yung pinaka-comfortable kayong gamitin. Kasi yung end goal po natin dito is bumilis kayo sa pagsosolve and tama po yung ginagawa ninyo. So if you're comfortable, do it. If you're not comfortable with a certain equation, then find other means to do it, right? So hanap lang po tayo ng kung ano po yung naaayon din naman sa atin. Kasi comfort levels po ninyo yung kailangang habulin natin dito. Ayan. So, can we have your answers? I think I'm receiving only a few pa lang po. Sige, padagdag po ng answers natin. Yes, Miss Hazel, tama po. Choose the simplest and best way of solving. Mind you, simplest is not the same for everyone. What's simple for me may not be simple for you. What's simple for you may be a little bit different for me. So, I will just show you what I see is the fastest and the easiest methods, and then kayo na po yung bahalang pumili. Kung saan po kayo ang masaya. Decision niyo po yan. Ayan. So, Jules got, ayan, marami na po tayong answers. Right. So, 9183, okay. And may 91. Sige, parang maraming 91. So, let's try this. Jules got 82, 87, 80. Naghahanap tayo ng fourth score. Yan. So we want to hit our target which is 85. So sure tayo na average yan. So siya yung target natin. Mag-a-adjust yung individual scores. So your 82 need to get plus 3 para maging 85. Si 87 minus 2. Si 80 naman ay minus 5. And then, when you put them all together, ay sorry, plus 5 pala, sorry, plus 5. And then when you put them all together, this is plus 6. So yung plus 6 natin dito, tsaka yung average natin gives us 91 as our final answer. So ayan po, mas mabilis po siya compared sa typical na method of getting your average, right? So you might want to use this method rather than the other ones po. Okay. Isa pa. One more. Kasi the more you practice, the easier it gets, di ba? Pag masyadong marami na po tayong experience sa isang bagay, nagiging expert tayo, right? So medyo popular po kasi yung mga average na mga questions. This one, and also I think yung mga percentage questions, ratio a little bit. So, and then sometimes they include mga items na parang a little bit challenging pero konti lang, like a few algebra items or a few age problems, ganyan, mga word problems. Pero medyo common, at least in my opinion, sa mga nakikita kong items, yung average, percentage, patterns, ganyan. So, ayan. Ayan na, marami ng answers pala. Sige na, go na tayo. So, we have, eto, I'll choose this time 87 kasi parang nasa gitna siya. Pero, yun nga, you could choose any number, you will still end up with the same final answer. So, yung 90, para mag-adjust sa chosen, siya pala yung average, no? So, siya pala yung prospective natin. Hindi pa tayo sure kung siya, kasi average yung hinahanap natin. So, siya pala yung dapat mag-adjust. So, para makapag-adjust siya kay 90 plus 3, para makapag-adjust siya kay 84, minus 3. It so happens na these two give you 0, which means that your prospective average is your actual average, 87. Right. Ayan. So, marami na yung nakakapag-answer correctly and that's good to know. Ito, last na item na po ito. Last item na po natin siya. Connected po siya sa previous item natin kasi same scores. It's just that she has to hit a certain average which is 89. Kasi yung previous page po, yung average niya is 87. So ngayon, kung gusto niya pala na dapat average niya ay 89, what should be her score in the fourth quiz? This is very similar sa actual test item natin doon sa diagnostic test. Ano po? So what's our answer here in the last one? Can we share? Miss Mary Joy, yung mga members po ng ating group dito sa Gurong Pinoy for the CSE review will have full access to the video after po. Okay, ayan. So we are receiving some answers. Medyo iba-iba. So, isip-isip muna, right? So, suriin na mabuti. Ayan. So, to be an honor student, the target is 89 average target. Siya perfect circle. Ayan. And then, mag-adjust. Dahil sure na tayo na average siya, everyone else will adjust sa sure na tayo. So, 87 will have 2 plus 3. Plus 2 pala, sorry. 90 will have 2 minus 1. And then 84 will have 2 plus 5. Put them all together. That is, ang tawag dito, I think it's plus 6. Ayan. Combine ito, tsaka ito gives you 95 as your, sorry. So 95 is our prospective na score. Ayan. So now, balik po tayo dun sa item natin, dun sa 103. Can you try solving this using the method that I just showed? Sanayan lang po ito. Sanayan natin yung selves natin na doing it this way because I think it's a much faster method than the regular one. It would be to your advantage. Sa mga gusto po sumali sa mga groups natin dito with full access to our reviews, please do message us directly at Gurong Pinoy na Facebook page. Pa-DM lang po. And then yung nag-handle po ng page natin will give you the details. Okay, so here in 103, I hope you're able to solve na ulit yung items using the method that I just showed para po makuha natin yung faster way of solving. So it is indeed still item number 4, which is 79. You could try po various iterations, choosing different numbers, you will still end up in the same final answer. Ayan. Sige po. So now let's try yung 104. Also, if you don't mind, please let me know. Are you more comfortable with this method or prefer niyo po yung old way of solving? Kasi may iba na mas komportable talaga sa old way. Yung dalawang ways po eh. Yung looking for the average and then looking for the missing score sa average. Baka kasi nasa-challenge tayo sa ibang parts. So just let me know, what's your preference really? Are you going to stick to the old method or you prefer this one? Mitch. 2 minus 1 plus 5. So 6 siya kasi negative po yung 1 natin dyan. No? So 2 plus 1 is 1 plus 5 at 6. May PEMDAS review pala tayo maya. So para makuha natin siya. Yan. If a positive integer m is divisible by 3 and 8, then m must also be divisible by, this is more of concept. Wala siya masyadong solving actually. If you recall our session last time where we covered where we covered yung mga divisibility rules, if it's divisible by 3 and 8, then dapat kung i-multiply mo silang dalawa, divisible pa rin siya. So you have your answer which is 24. Ayan. So marami yung nakakuha ng correct answer which is great. So let's try 105. Miss, may question dito si Miss? Okay. Hindi pala. Si Raymond pala. Raymond, please, to have full access to the videos, do message us directly, pa-DM po doon sa Facebook page. A portion of this video will be uploaded doon sa my Facebook natin. I'm not sure lang if it's the full video. Kasi only the members po noong group natin talaga yung may full access dito. Okay, one moment. Sige. Yung nagpapa-SS po ng 104, sandali lang. Ayan na. Hopefully okay na, Trisha. And then, please post your answers po doon sa 105. Ayun din. Again, yung mga members po ng, yung mga humihingi ng copy ng video and ng discussion, please be a member po ng review group para nandun po kasi yung lahat ng mga materials. Binibigay po doon. Ayan. So, I think may answer na si Arjon, si Rogine, si Mitch. Ayan. Sige. So, remember lang po yung rules ng decimals natin. Di ba pag nagmumultiply tayo ng may mga maraming zero, nagdadagdag lang naman tayo ng same number ng zero. So, for this one, what we have to do is move tayo to the left. So, 0.1 here. So, 1 decimal place. I'll use a different color. 0.1, 1 decimal place. So, dito yan siya. Ito, 0.01, 2 decimal places. Dito yan siya. Ito, 3 decimal places. So, dito yan siya. Magdagdag ako ng 0 dyan. And then you put them all together and you end up getting the answer, which is, yung answer po natin dito is going to be 1. Sa mga gusto pong sumali, please directly message us in our Facebook group na Gurong Pinoy. Facebook page po pala. Please DM po. Directly message yung ating Facebook page. Doon po tayo makakakuha ng details. Ayan. So we have now item number 106. If you don't mind po, paki-type po ng item number before kayo magbigay ng solutions ng choice ninyo. Kasi baka yung previous item pa yung sinasagutan natin. Medyo slow po kasi yung comment section. Medyo huli ko na po nare-receive yung comments ninyo. Mga a few seconds late po siya. So, paki-include lang po ng item number before yung choice natin. Para sure tayo. Okay? So, may answer na si Melith, Sino pa yung may answer dito? Ay, meron ng isa nakapag-answer din dito. Ayan, si Johanna, si Mitch. Ayan, si Mitch. Si Rhea may meron na rin. Okay. 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 Jover Gen Ed. Gen Ed pa lang. Iba yung math ng math major. Mas challenging siya. Exciting kasi math major din po ako. Nakuha ako ng LET. Ayan. Sige, let's do 106. I am receiving a few different and kind of interesting answers. So, yung hinahanap po natin dito is how many trays would be able to hold 163 eggs, right? So, what we need to do is, kasi yung eggs na yan, ilalagay mo sa tray, di ba? So, you only have 12 slots for your eggs. So, simply, we have to do is 163 should be divided by ilan yun? 12. 12 lang kasi. So, long method po tayo. Wala po kasi tayong calculator dito sa sa exam natin eh. So, we end up getting 4 and 3. So, 3 yan. And then you have 36. And then you have 7. So, meron tayong remainder 7. So, ilang trays lahat ang kailangan natin? So, as you can see, you need at least 13 trays. If you have 13 trays, may 7 pa po kayong itlog na walang paglalagyan. So, you need to add your additional tray. So, what we do here is we round up. Round up po tayo. Hindi po round off. Okay? Kung nag 13.4 yan or 13.3, wag po tayong mag-round off kasi wala pong paglalagyan ng extra. Okay lang po na may empty space na bakante. Okay lang na sobra, wag lang kulang, hindi ba? So, you have to answer here 14 trays. Wala naman pong decimal na tray. Wala naman po 0.5 or point something na tray. So, it has to be 14 trays. Okay? So, when you are counting po certain things that should be whole and cannot be portions of a whole, for example, how many buses will fit a certain number of people? How many cars can fit 5 people? How many people should there be or how many trays should there be for an egg? Round up po tayo. Ano po? Sige. By the way, if at times you're getting the wrong answers, it's totally okay. Nag-uumpisa pa lang po tayo dahil this is just, hopefully, yung goal natin is after a few weeks, you will have better skills and be able to answer faster and more efficient and better, of course. So yes, round up po, Miss Kathleen. So, practice lang po yung katapat niyan. Kapag hindi po kayo masyadong nagpa-practice, kinakalawang din po yung skills natin. Ano po? So, if you feel na sometimes ay masyadong slow yung discussion, alam ko na yan, go through the process lang po of practicing everything. You still need to be refreshed with some information every once in a while. Kailangan po siya if you really want to get the best possible. Because after all, you're not just doing this for a license, you're still doing this for yourself pa rin. So, wag naman po nating tipirin ang selves natin, right? Give your best. Do your best. Always. So for item number 107, what we have here is we're discussing percentage, which I mentioned is a little bit common na item po siya. So, ano lang naman po yan? It's always your, remember lang po natin, yung mahiwagang triangle natin, yung P, B, R. Percentage, base, and rate. So ano po yung given dito? In this situation, meron po kayong given money, which is what you're starting with. Sandali. Ayan. So, what you're starting with, yung starting money mo, so that means that's your base. And then you have, obvious na obvious po siya kasi nasa percent form, nasa percent form po siya, so that's your rate. Anything that is in percent, decimal, or in fraction form, that's going to be your rate, right? So, you're kind of looking for your percentage. Percentage, the P here is the portion of a whole. So, portion po siya. Hinahanap natin yung small portion na yan. So, the method here should be your base times rate, or that is 42,000 times 5% in decimal form, 0.05. And this should give you 2,100. Which is not your final answer. Read your question very well. Yung hinahanap po natin dito is yung sale price. Okay? Sale price po. Yung 2,100 is yung portion na binawas natin sa sale price. So that's not your final answer. Your final answer is your base minus your percentage or your portion. So you still need to do your 42,000, yung base mo, minus your percentage, which is 2,100, and that should give you your final answer, which is, I think, item number 4 ba? That is your, ayan, this is 39,900. So, wag pong kalimutan na basahin yung instructions and questions properly kasi minsan, yung nakukuha niyong sagot, hindi pa yon yung hinahanap. So, kahit nag-e-effort po kayo, minsan, kung yung binibigay nyo ay hindi yung hinihingi sa inyo, mali pa rin po yun. So, basa-basa po tayo ng maigi. Ano po? Sige. So now, if you are done with that item, we can take on item number 108. So this is a little bit of basic algebra perhaps, or arithmetic rather. So we have 3 times 2 plus 4 times 5. So PEMDAS na rin, which we'll hopefully be able to discuss next meeting kaya. Parang ganun. Parang meron yata dito eh. I believe. Parang meron dito. Sige. What is 3 times 2 plus 4 times 5? Pa-share po ng answers. And ito po siya. So, our answer here is, thank you po, Ms. Marivic. What we need to do here is, meron po tayong parenthesis, right? So, always start with your whatever is inside your parenthesis. So, unahin po natin yung 2 plus 4 and we end up getting 6. So, pag meron na po yan, copy lang po muna natin yung iba ha para hindi po tayo ma-miss out. So, it's the same operation multiplication. So, pag same operation po siya, you don't really have to think anymore of the rules kasi pareho na lang yung operations eh. It doesn't matter where you start actually. Pag pare-pareho yung operations, doesn't matter where you start. So, you could do the 3 times 6 first, or the 6 times 5 first, or even the 3 times 5 first. Personally, I would start at 6 times 5 kasi madali siya. It's 30, tapos times 3, and then you will end up getting 90 po. So please keep in mind, if you have the same operations, order doesn't matter. So you could do 3 times 6, which is 18 times 5. Medyo a little bit challenging. Madali yung 3 times 30. Ayan. Try natin. Ito na po siya. Ito na po yung sinasabi natin si PEMDAS. So, ilang beses po itong paulit-ulit sa atin nung tayo ay nasa grade school perhaps or high school and even in college. But there are actually some things na medyo nakakalimutan natin or nami-miss out natin. So, emphasize ko lang po some things on PEMDAS. So, you always start with P, which stands for your parenthesis. And then E is your exponent, yung mga power po na yan. Ito po, ito yung usually nakakalimutan natin. Yung multiplication or division, whichever comes first from the left to the right. So, hindi po always na nauuna si multiplication kay division. So, if you see a process na, for example, meron po kayong 4 times 6 divided by 3. If you see something like that, ano po? Let me change that. Palitan natin ng something na mas ano talaga siya. Let's have 8 times 4 divided by 2. Ayan, let's have that. So if you see that, multiplication or division is of the same level from left to right. So nauna po si multiplication. So what I need to do here is, I need to multiply this first. This is 32 divided by 2, and I will end up getting 16. What if you have, for example, something like 8, 8 divided by 4 times 2. What are you supposed to do? Remember, multiplication or division, hindi laging inuuna si multiplication. Kung sino lang yung nauna from left to right, between multiplication and division. This time, nauna po si division. So what you should do here is start here. You will get 2. And then copy yung hindi mo pa nagawa, times 2. And the final answer here is 4. Pero if nag-umpisa po kayo sa multiplication, your answer would have been 1, which is wrong. Okay? So for your PEMDAS, MD, multiplication division, is of the same level, whichever comes first. And then your addition, subtraction, same rule applies. Although technically it doesn't matter kasi yung addition and subtraction, hindi sila affected kahit sino yung unahin mo sa kanila. It's this lang talaga na kailangan yung really mag-pay attention kasi multiplication and division, pag binaliktad mo, yung inuna mo, yung priority mo, nag-iiba po yung answer. So, please be very, very particular with multiplication and division. Yung addition, subtraction, okay lang pag makalimutan minsan. Yan, keep in mind po ha. Sige, another review. Rule po when we are doing your addition and subtraction or multiplication division, that involves different signs. So let me enlarge this a bit. If the sign are the same, both positive plus and both minus, you add the integers. If the signs are different, subtract. So yun lang naman. If the signs are the same, add. If the signs are different, subtract. Okay? Tapos, always follow the sign of the larger integer. Ganun din po dito, sign of the larger integer. Let's have some examples. So for this one, this is item number, ano kaya magandang items na gamitin dito?